Now, it's a sobering thought that almost two-thirds of marriages in this country end happily. The bedrock for happiness in a marriage is for men to follow the simple rule that your wife is right and that you are sorry. For women, the trick is to let men have total authority over one thing. The choice is between the remote control, the road atlas, or the choice of slippers. Over everything else, men can assume they have control, but rule number one applies in practice. Being faithful is more important in marriage than religion, because you're more likely to be excommunicated if you transgress in a marriage. Sexual excitement may start to wane in a marriage, and so you should think of all sorts of different ways to spice up the last few days of your honeymoon. Marriage is for life, which these days can mean 60 or more years. A good way to fill in the time is by having 6 or 7 children. This gives you something to do for the long middle years in a marriage when there's nothing on television. People who wander around talking rubbish to themselves are generally considered slightly bonkers. In a marriage, you can do this all the time because there's someone in the other corner of the room making tea. This is what people refer to as companionship. This is the big thing in marriage when the sex, the children, and the teeth have gone. The best thing about marriage is the security and reassurance it offers. However bad things get in life, it is deeply reassuring and comforting to know that there's always someone worse off than yourself. Occasional arguments are good in a marriage because they can clear the air. If they also clear the furniture, you're probably taking them a bit too far. One key to a happy marriage is to realise that you can't change the person you've married. Ideally, you should realise this before you marry them, and not march up to the aisle with a massive mental to-do list. Just because you're married doesn't mean you can't do your own thing. Having your own interests is absolutely vital. Sport, travel, evenings in the pub, office outings should be actively encouraged, especially by wives. When you get married, kindly old people tell you that marriage has to be worked on. Sadly, no one ever tells you what this work actually is and whether you can get a man to do it for you. Generally, it's worth checking regularly how your other half feels the marriage is going. If the response comes in the form of a solicitor's letter, then there may be trouble ahead.